Shalom semua, selamat sore, selamat malam. Selamat malam. Ya, senang sekali bisa bertemu kembali. Salam sehat kepada semua. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua jemaat yang dikasihi Tuhan. Puji Tuhan, di momen malam ini kita mendapat kesempatan kembali mendengar seri webinar kesehatan seputar tema COVID-19. Bersyukur untuk seri hari ini kita mendapat kehormatan atas kesediaan Dr. Chu Bok Ai, seorang dokter spesialis radiasi onkologis di Singapura. Ia akan memberikan sharing dan juga nasihat atau pandangan-pandangan. Lalu akan dilanjut juga oleh Dr. Vivi Bagia, seorang fisiater yang mendampingi kita sebagai host. Terima kasih kepada pelayanan-pelayan semua. Saya tambahkan untuk Dr. Chu Bok Ai adalah salah satu pendiri My Refuge Christian Cancer Support is a non-denomination Christian support based in Singapore. Jadi ini adalah salah satu pendiri ya Christian Oncologist and Cancer Survivor Group. Nah, latar belakang topik seminar ini adalah bahwa kondisi pandemi COVID selain membawa masalah-masalah kesehatan, gangguan fisik, juga dapat menimbulkan gangguan mental. Kondisi kesehatan atau mental ini menjadi topik tersendiri yang perlu diperhatikan dan ditangani dengan baik. Kasus-kasus seperti social distancing, ya, isolasi mandiri, loneliness, karena pada umumnya kodrat manusia adalah makhluk yang suka sosial, suka komunitas, dan suka pengen ketemu gitu. Lalu ini juga akan menimbulkan satu kebingungan, ketakutan, panik buying, kemarahan atau kecewa, bahkan sampai menimbulkan depresi tersendiri. Belum lagi rasa kehilangan, kesedihan, karena orang-orang terdekat meninggal karena COVID-19. Semuanya ini dapat menimbulkan gangguan mental. Oleh karena itu, malam ini mari kita belajar, mendengar, dan memahami apa yang terjadi dengan kesehatan mental dalam kondisi pandemik yang cukup panjang ini. Kita semua, saya yakin kita tidak tahu kapan akan berakhir pandemik ini. Harapannya adalah jika kita sudah mendengar belajar atau mendengar sharing nanti, maka kita dapat menguasai diri kita sendiri untuk tetap sehat, serta secara mental maupun secara fisik. Lalu pada akhirnya, kita dapat menjadi berkat atau membantu seseorang yang di lingkungan kita yang terganggu mentalnya. Biarlah kita terus bersandar kepada Tuhan, karena Tuhan adalah satu-satunya batu atau sandaran yang kita hanya bisa sandarkan. Tuhan adalah pencipta langit dan bumi dan pencipta kita semua. Kiranya melalui seminar ini, melalui webinar ini, Tuhan yang menolong setiap kita mendapat berkat dan menjadi berkat untuk orang banyak. Soli Deo Gloria. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Kurniadi atas kata sambutannya. Kiranya memberikan kita semangat semua dalam masa pandemi ini. Untuk memulai acara pada hari ini, kita mari buka dalam doa. Doa akan dipimpin oleh Bapak Pendeta Agus Gunawan.
Ya, selamat malam Bapak Ibu, saudara kasih Tuhan. Sebelum berdoa, saya bacakan 2 ayat. Yeremia 33, ayat yang ketiga dan ayat yang ke-6. Kata Tuhan, berserulah kepadaku, maka aku akan menjawab engkau. Aku akan memberitahukan kepadamu hal-hal besar yang tidak kau pahami, hal-hal yang tidak kau ketahui. Sesungguhnya, kata Tuhan, aku akan mendatangkan kepada mereka kesehatan, kesembuhan. Aku akan menyembuhkan mereka, menyingkapkan kepada mereka kesejahteraan, keamanan yang berlimpah-limpah. Ya, mari kita bawa dalam doa agar seminar malam ini sungguh jadi berkat dan setiap pembicara, khususnya Dr. Chubok Ai dan juga Dr. Vivi akan jadi berkat untuk setiap kita. Mari kita berdoa bersama. Tuhan, terima kasih karena Engkau mengajak kami berseru kepadamu di tengah-tengah segala kesesakan kami, di tengah-tengah segala keluhan, di tengah segala pergumulan hidup kami. Engkau adalah Allah Tuhan yang selalu mengundang kami datang kepada Tuhan. Banyak hal kami tidak mengerti, banyak hal kami tidak paham dan tidak ketahui. Ada banyak kesedihan, ada banyak sakit penyakit yang kami alami, bahkan juga bukan cuma fisik kami, tetapi roh jiwa, mental kami, emosi kami, ada banyak terganggu, mengalami begitu banyak kesusahan. Bukan cuma kami, tetapi orang sekeliling kami yang menjadi kekasih-kekasih jiwa kami, orang-orang keluarga kami, maupun juga teman-teman kami. Tuhan, kami datang kepada Tuhan, kiranya Tuhan kami boleh mencari Engkau. Lewat webinar ini kami selalu diingatkan untuk mencari Tuhan, untuk percaya kepada Tuhan, karena anugerah kasih Tuhan selalu besar bagi kami. Karena keselamatan ada padamu. Kami berdoa untuk kedua rekan dokter yang luar biasa yang menyediakan diri mereka melayani kami. Tuhan berkati, baik Dr. Chubok Ai maupun Dr. Vivi, pakailah mereka, beliau berdua menjadi alat kemuliaan nama-Mu. Membawa kami pengertian-pengertian yang harus kami tahu. Berkati setiap kami yang menjadi pendengar di rumah kami masing-masing. Berkati panitia juga. Terima kasih, kami bersyukur. Dalam nama Tuhan Yesus Kristus, Gembala, Juru Selamat kami yang hidup. Amin.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Agus. Acara kita akan dimulai. Saya persilakan untuk Saudari Aulia sebagai moderator pada hari ini. Terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih Pak Agus, Ko Henry. Selamat malam Bapak Ibu Saudara yang dikasihi Tuhan. Perkenalkan, nama saya Aulia yang akan menjadi moderator Zoominar kali ini. Nah, pandemi COVID-19 yang berkepanjangan bukan hanya berdampak pada kesehatan fisik, namun juga sangat berdampak pada aspek kesehatan jiwa. Banyak kasus gangguan kesehatan jiwa yang baru muncul, bahkan kasus lama yang kambuh kembali. Mereka yang kehilangan anggota keluarganya, yang merupakan penyintas, kemudian yang sedang menjalani isolasi mandiri, serta yang mendengar rekan-rekan dekat atau keluarganya tertular COVID. Jadi mereka mengakui mengalami stres, cemas, putus asa, bahkan sebagian mengatakan ingin mengakhiri saja hidupnya. Nah, bagaimana kita mengatasi hal ini? Kali ini kami mengundang Dr. Chubok Ai. Beliau adalah seorang dokter spesialis onkologi radiasi senior yang sudah berpraktek selama 19 tahun di beberapa rumah sakit di Singapura, seperti Icon Cancer Center, Mount Elizabeth Hospital, Gleneagles Hospital, dan Mount Alvernia Hospital. Beliau mempunyai banyak pengalaman dalam membentuk kelompok dukungan atau support group untuk pasien kanker. Karena sama seperti COVID, kanker juga merupakan penyakit yang menyebabkan ketakutan pada penyandangnya. Nah, sharing dari Dr. Chubok Ai akan disampaikan dalam bahasa Inggris, tapi jangan khawatir, kami juga sudah menyiapkan subtitle atau terjemahan bahasa Indonesianya. Bagi Bapak, Ibu, Saudara yang ingin bertanya, dapat mengetik langsung di kolom chat dan ditujukan pada host kami, yaitu Parosia Ministry. Pertanyaan dapat diajukan dalam bahasa Indonesia maupun bahasa Inggris. Kemudian pada saat sesi tanya-jawab, kami akan membantu untuk menerjemahkan pertanyaan-pertanyaan tersebut ke bahasa Inggris. Untuk itu, sekarang mari kita simak sharing dari Dr. Chubok Ai.
Thank you everyone for coming to today's talk. Today's talk is on COVID and mental health. And I'm pleased and thank you for the organizer for inviting me. I'm a cancer doctor, I'm an oncologist. So over the past 20 years, I've treated cancer, which actually a disease that actually strikes a lot of fear in patients. So today I'm going to share with you how I advise my own patient to handle stress and how I keep encouraging my patients itself. So I work in Singapore in a private hospital setting, and in the hospital I founded a few cancer support group, and this cancer support is very important because this peer-to-peer support helps us, to handle a situation or condition together. Now, everyone handling of different stressful situation is different. So for example, our priority in life is important, and because this will determine your individual response. So sometimes, we are stressed by very little things, and sometimes, even if you go to the shops to buy something, sometimes because of traffic jam, we get stressed. And some people are very not easily stressed, and they are actually happy-go-lucky. So in a way, everyone is different in how they handle stressful situation. Now, if your physical health is not so good, for example, if you have diabetes, hypertension, and you are afraid that if you get COVID, and you will not be able to survive because your health is actually not too good. So that actually brings another level of how you will handle and face COVID. And the second thing is that your emotional health, how you face a stressful situation, and how you help yourself see things in perspective is also important. Some people are very pessimistic in life. Sometimes they think that if they get any disease, they will surely die. Some people are more optimistic. That means if they get a disease, they say that it's okay, I get this disease, I will pray about it and I will survive this disease, and I just have to listen to the doctor. So it all depends on how you handle this kind of stressful situation. The next thing is that if you do have a religion, and religion helps a lot in the sense that you can pray about it, because if you don't have a religion, you can speak to your friends, speak to your family members, and speak to your doctors. But if you do have a religion, you can pray to God about it, because sometimes some situations that we face, especially if your patient has stage 4 cancer, there are times when even the doctor cannot help as much, because the doctors are also human. Sometimes we cannot determine whether a treatment is successful or not, because this is unknown. We can give treatment, the doctors can give treatment, but whether the treatment is successful, a lot of times does not depend on the doctor alone. There are other things at the background that we do not understand. The next thing is that if you face cancer alone or face COVID alone, it depends also on your social support. If you are alone and live alone, and you do not have any family members, or you're not married, or don't have any children, then facing the COVID situation in the times of pandemic is actually quite scary as well. But that's why we all have churches, that's why we have this support group, in the sense that we are all here together to show support to each other, to encourage each other, to motivate each other, so that we can help each other to go through these tough times together. And the last thing is that the faith in your religion is important, because every single religion will teach you that what happens if you die, depends on what you believe in. So in Christianity, we believe in God. If a Christian dies, we believe that we go to heaven because of the salvation we have in Jesus Christ. So if you know that you're going to heaven, so in even the worst case scenario, if we do not survive a disease or COVID or cancer, then at least we know we have the assurance of where we're going to go if we do pass on. So there is a few things that when people face uncertainty in life, that helps and determines how they respond is going to be. Now, the tough times are determined not only by cancer, about COVID, and some people already have a previous stroke before, and some of them have facing mental health, in the sense that they have depression, they have anxiety, some have early dementia, and some also face a lot of problems in their own marriage, because if you lock down, you spend a lot of time together as husband and wife, and sometimes, in a small situation when, the family is there together all the time, and you don't have your own free space, and people get into each other, away. So in a way, there are a lot of arguments inside the house as well, and sometimes the marriage can also suffer. And the other thing is that if your career or financial have difficulties because your job is uncertain, and because of the job uncertainty, you face any financial problems because you operate in let's say, selling a food product, you cannot open your stores. So that also causes another layer of financial uncertainty. So we are really facing a tough times that is unprecedented. That means that we have never done it, haven't faced this before, because this is the first pandemic, since, we can't remember, because you need to be in World War I before you see that the last time the Spanish pandemic was there. So none of us have faced this before, but those who actually faced World War II and before will understand that during the time of war, in few years' time, there are a lot of oppression, there are a lot of uncertainty, and it's really a tough time for everyone. Now, but because everyone is in the same situation, at least we have each other to be together. And because of the internet and because of this meeting alone, Zoom meeting, we can face each other. In the time of war back into, World War II, and nobody can talk to each other. There's no mobile phone, but now we have internet. So how we face this situation also changes. Now, I'll tell you my own COVID and cancer experience, right? So I don't have COVID and I don't have cancer, but there was a time, a period when I have a sore throat, during last year. I thought I may have COVID and I isolated myself in my own room, in the own house, because I scared to pass it on to my own family. So during that, a few days of isolation in the room, I eat in the room, the food is left outside my door. It really reflects on my life. What if I do get COVID? What if I pass on because of COVID? What if my family get COVID? What have I done in the last, since I was born? So you go back to a lot of childhood. If today, if I have COVID, and then, if I do have face problem, if I went to ICU, if I went to the hospital, what happened to me? Then it really brings back to what is your meaning in life? What is your priority in life now? So if you just have to look back, that's why the talk today is to help to look into your life experiences, and so that you can quieten your life and look at your priorities again. So it's a good time because you are locked down in the house, you're very scared to go outside. Then you have a bit of time to think about what have you done in the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and is your life, have been fulfilled? If we all survive this COVID, maybe in a year or two time, what will happen to our life? Are we going to change our life? What is our own priority in life? That's one thing we have to ask ourselves. So when you face your mortality, in the sense that if you are going to face death, a lot of people suddenly wake up and say that, what have I done? Is my experience, life experience is enough? Have I done what I want to do in life? Now, what does the Bible tell us about all this? So in Psalms 27 verse 4, it says that this is the Psalms of David. David at that time, to put into context, he was running away from King Saul. He was also being pursued by his own son Absalom, which is the third son. Just imagine David is on the run, trying to stay alive, and the one who wants to kill David is actually his own son. And there are people chasing him, and his own son wants to kill him. He is under a lot of tremendous stress and depression and anxiety. He wrote this Psalms 27 verse 4. He said, one thing I ask from God, and this thing that I've asked, that I do seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. So when it actually comes to the time when he's really been stressed out, at the end he realized that actually what he wanted really to do, right, is actually just to actually dwell in the house, because he understands that if he do pass on, the only thing he will do is to go to God. He's not going to see his family members. He's just going to be with God. So at the end, he said that one thing I ask is to dwell in the house. So in the 2 Samuel 17, it says that this Ahithophel said to Absalom, let us choose 12,000 men and leave tonight to go after David. So he's been pursued by 12,000 men. I'll attack him while he's weak and tired, and I'll cause him to panic, and all the people with him will flee, and then I'll kill only him. I'll return all the people to you as a bride is returned to her husband, since you'll be seeking the life of only one man. All the people will have peace. So Absalom, all the leaders of Israel approved this plan. You see, everyone is against David. He's alone and he's with nobody. The people with him is in great danger, but he actually accepted it. And his way of dealing with this anxiety and stress is actually to leave everything up to God. And it says to the Lord in Psalm 16:2 that you are my Lord, apart from you, I have no good things. So he actually left everything in God's hands. So this is his spiritual life, and this is what he can do, because there's nothing else he can do, right? Because every single human has deserted him. So he also wrote that truly he is my rock and my salvation, and he is my fortress. I will not be shaken. So when everything is against you, the only thing that actually survive any pandemic is actually what is the wall of defense around you. So if anything comes near, is there an invisible wall around you? It is your fortress. Fortress means a place where you can actually hide inside a fortress. That means the people will come and attack you. You're safe inside this fortress because it's fortified, it's strong, and it's not easily run down by the enemies. So it will not be shaken. So just think of your life. What is your fortress now, and whether you'll be shaken? Now, quickly, I'm just going to go into this. How do we find God in all this? How to make God your fortress? How to build a fortress around you in the time of pandemic and COVID? Now, the 3 things that I narrowed down is talking about the ABC of finding God. So even if not because of COVID, this is what you should be doing if you are a Christian. Now, number 1, A is for abide. Abide in him. In John chapter 15, it says that if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire and it shall be done for you. Which means that here, the book of John, it says that abide in God. What is the meaning of abiding in God? Abiding in God means that to actually read God's word and believe in God's promises. And you also then seek God and pray to God, because you ask by asking is praying, and then it should be done for you. The next thing is actually behold God. B is for behold. Beholding God means look towards God, glory and majesty. When you look towards heaven, you know, and there was a story I'm going to share with you. There was a picture last time, you know, of a very famous Italian businessman. So this Italian businessman is very rich, and because of some things that he done, he actually managed to cause his competitor, another businessman, go bankrupt. So because of that, his business is number 1 in Italy. Nobody can compete with him because he's the biggest, because the competitor is now went bankrupt. It's the biggest company in the whole Italian doing a business, in this business. So, but he doesn't have peace because he used a tactic of business that is not good. You know, he don't regret it, but he feel not good because it caused the other people to went bankrupt. It caused a lot of people to lose their job. Okay, whereas he actually become richer. So he asked 3 famous painters in Italy to come. You know, Italy is very famous for painting. So he asked the people, these 3 painters, to draw him a picture so that when he go at home at night and to see this picture, he will feel at peace, you see. He feel peaceful. So the first painter, after 1 month, the first painter come and show him a picture of this picture. So this picture show about a very nice scenery, you know, of beautiful fields and flowers and surroundings in the village. So when he actually look at the picture, he feel very peaceful because it's all about beautiful scenarios. You can feel that you can relax in a beautiful environment and scenery. Now he said, very good, you know, your picture is very nice. I feel more peaceful after I look at your picture. So the second painter come and unveil the picture. He used a cloth and then he unveiled it. And this picture shows a picture of a more elderly man and then a woman, and then they have the family together, you know, 3 generations, and their little children running in the fields. It shows that the family time, and everyone in the picture was very happy, you know. So thank you very much. Your picture is very nice. Remind us of my own family, of my grandchildren. When I see that, I feel happy and I smile because, you know, I have lived a life that is, you know, I have my own grandchildren now. I'm very happy. So thank you for doing that. So the third painter come to him and unveil and pull down the cloth to show a very big painting. Now this painting, unfortunately, is a painting of a war, you know. So it shows a war of a picture infighting a civil war. So inside that, the soldiers are killing, you know, and one another, and the villagers are all trapped inside this war, and everyone is dying, being killed. There's blood everywhere. There are spears, there are horses. And it's a total chaotic, and there are fire burning in the background. The houses are burned. So he was very shocked, you know. He said, what are you trying to paint to me? When I see this picture, I have fear. I have a lot of fear because everyone is dying in this picture and it seems that nobody is going to survive. So you actually, you know, you not get my message. I want a picture of peace. I don't want a picture of war and fear, you know. So this painter said that, please look at this picture carefully. He said that at this corner of this little picture, there's a little girl. And in the whole picture, you know, it's a big picture, it's a mural, it's a big picture. So he said, in this big picture, you see this little girl smiling. She's the only one smiling in the picture, and she was looking up into the sky. And inside the sky, there's a bright star. While she's looking at the bright star, she smiled because it reminded her of her grandmother, because she knows that this is going to end and I'm going to be my grandmother alone because all her family members has been killed in the war. So she's looking towards being with the family, and she smiled. And the reason this painter told him, he said that, you know what you did to in your business. He said no picture can give you the peace that you're going to have unless you actually make peace yourself. This just shows you that actually in the most difficult time of your life, if you have confidence in the future, no matter what happened now, you will have confidence in the future because you know what you do and what you're going to go. So this actually shows us at the end, right? This eventually, when the businessman heard about this, he go and apologize to another businessman and say, I'm sorry that I caused your business to go bankrupt. Please, as a token, be my business partner and come and join me. I say I return 50% of my share of my company with you. Let us be equal partners, and we're going to employ all the people that you have employed before so that all will have a job. And because you got the two businessmen working together, that company grow from strength to strength and even become even bigger. Now he's much happier because he doesn't need any of the pictures because he have done what is right. So he can sleep very peaceful at night, but he brought 3 of the pictures, and the pictures is good put in his room. It's the picture, the third picture of the painter. When every time he look at it, he knows that no matter what happened now, no matter what fear he gets, the only thing he can look forward to is that he knows what his destination is. His destination is in heaven. And once he have that peace in his heart, no matter what happened now to his business, to his life, to his health, he knows where he's going to go. And that actually summarizes what fear is. Fear is actually knowing the unknown. If you know what is going to happen in the future, then no matter what you face now, whether you face COVID, cancer, or any situation, because you know what is going to happen in the future is looking towards heaven and have the confidence to look at the stars in above. So actually, when you look at God's creation and notice the little flowers that spring out and the butterflies that fly around that you will never notice before, then you begin to appreciate even the rain, because the rain will freshen up everything. You notice that you're breathing in and out. Then you begin to realize, actually, I'm breathing. And this is, again, it's a miracle because you're breathing in and out. And you realize that you are but a mortal and there's a God in everything around you. But you have not, but you have not noticed before because you're all very busy doing, living our own lives. But this COVID time is a time to reflect about your own life. And you begin to notice the little things that you take for granted. Now, the last ABC is actually C is for Christ. Knowing Christ and knowing what Christ has done for you, it becomes very important. So to begin with, let's look at what is suffering. Now, are you suffering? A lot of times we think that we are suffering because we are in lockdown period. We are all very different and we suffer differently. And how do you define suffering and to anyone understand your suffering? So you're suffering because you feel very bored at home and got nothing to do. You're suffering because maybe your family member has been admitted to hospital because of COVID, or maybe because you are in lockdown yourself because you cannot go out. You're suffering. You're suffering. Maybe your business is not doing very well. And so suffering can be physical and suffering can be emotional. So suffering can be a state of the mind and feeling, of great anxiety. But suffering can also be physical if really you have cancer or have COVID. COVID can cause people to have difficulty breathing and have high fever and have sore throat, running nose, all that. So that could be physical. But a lot of times the suffering can be very emotional. Now, how is your suffering compared to Christ's suffering? So we know that evil exists in the absence of good, because it's a paradox here. So it must be an opposite. Now, if your opposite means right, so if you have opposite, that means evil exists in the absence of good. If you have a lot of goodness, then the substance of evil goes down. Darkness really exists because it's in the absence of light. If you have light and darkness cannot happen together, no matter how small the light is. So suffering exists, because of an absence of something. So what is this absence? Now, pain and suffering usually goes hand in hand. So pain and suffering. So if you're suffering, there must be a certain aspect of pain, whether pain in your heart or pain physically. Pain and suffering is always in direct contrast to a loving and good God. So if you put it in contrast, suffering is actually away from goodness, and the goodness is away from a loving God defined by the Christianity sense. So, but if you have a loving and good God, then the suffering actually is lessened. Now, we can actually choose to do two things. There are a lot of people, when we blame, so last time, when COVID first started, we always say that the origin of COVID is in China. So we blame China. When it went to America, then it blamed the Chinese people for that purpose. So we try to look for blame. And if the government is not handling COVID situation well, we started to blame the government. But actually, when we look at blaming something, blaming someone, blaming others, blaming the virus, blaming COVID, So we blame people, but this not solve the problem. So rather, we should actually choose to light a candle. Now, what is the meaning of lighting a candle? Lighting a candle means doing something practical. That means, again, I tell you that darkness happens because it's in the absence of light. If you choose to light a candle, the darkness fade away and disappear. So this is very important. If it's a lighting a candle is an action that disperses darkness. So blaming COVID, blaming people does not solve the problem. But how do we light a candle? Lighting a candle means how we respond to this situation. So we know that suffering can cause stress. Now, stress is a biological response because if you meet with a situation that can cause stress, then the biological response is to release of cortisol. Now, cortisol is a steroid hormone because if you have cortisol, you heighten up your body, but then you cannot sleep because your stress level is high, your cortisol level becomes high. The cortisol drives your energy, you see. If you're in a lot of stress, and if you are chased by a dog, for example, you run very fast because there's a sudden release of cortisol. It's a steroid hormone. It suddenly causes you to have more energy because it's a fear and flight response. But the prolonged release of cortisol is not good because it actually reduces the ability of a reasonable reasoning response. That means if you're chased by a dog, your only response is to run away from the dog, but you're not sure where you're going to run. You run because you need to run, but you may run and jump into a drain without you realizing it. You may jump to a river, you can jump to things, you may jump off a big, long building, because you stop being rational in your thinking because your physical body is taken over the stress response and you have no time to think. So prolonged release of cortisol is not good for health because it also reduces your immunity because you cannot sleep. And if you lack of sleep, it actually causes bad health. So it's very important how we actually handle stress become important. Now, you cannot avoid stress because stress is there. COVID is a stressful situation, so you cannot avoid that because it's a normal response to the body. But how you respond to this stressful stimulus is very important. So that's the key. So I'm going to teach you a technique now. The technique is actually to reset the button. So when we have a computer, now you're in the computer, right? You're maybe in a mobile phone, using mobile phone to log on, or maybe you're using a computer, a laptop or desktop. Now, on and off, right? Your computer sometimes, if you do not off your computer at any point, after a few days or few weeks, your computer will run into problem and you really need to switch off your computer so that if not, your computer slow down a lot. So in a way, we call it the reset button. You have to power off and power on again. So now is the time to power off and power on again. So it's actually to reset your button. How do you do that? Is to reset your physical and your mental. It's actually to know how to breathe in and breathe out. Now, as you breathe in and out, you do the ABC. Number 1, abide in God. Number 2, behold God. And then if you do that, because when you breathe in and you breathe out, you realize that you're breathing. When you realize you're breathing, you become mortal. That means you're human because you realize you're human. Because without breathing in and breathing out, if you fail to do that, and that's what makes us alive because we can do that. So if you close your eyes and you started to breathe in and out and just think of the process of breathing in and out, then you manage, this is a way of resetting the button. So if your computer crash, you need to reset, you need to restart. So actually when you breathe in and out, just take every day a few minutes of that, just to try to do that, either in the morning or at night. You breathe in and you breathe out. And then after that, you abide in God. You started to pray and started to be mindful of your stressful situation and say that it's okay. God is in control. I am not in control, but God is in control. No matter what happened, He is with me. So actually when you do this, when you will a stimulus for stress, you become a different, because your response to stress is now different, because you're redefining how you look at stress. You're redefining what is a stimulus. So then you think, what is the benefit if I'm stressful? How will it serve me? What experience can it give me? Now, if your stress does not serve you any benefit, if your stress doesn't serve you, your stress does not give you a better outcome for being stressful, then you know that you need to kick this stress away. Then you just tell yourself, this stress is not good for me. I'm going to let stress go away. And then I'm going to be more positive in my life. I'm going to hope for the best. I'm going to pray. So if you do that, you become to have gratitude. And gratitude and happiness are the opposites of stress and painful and suffering. So it's opposite. So when you have the opposite of good things, you think of your gratitude, you thank God for your family, You thank God that you're still alive. You thank God, for being in the church. You thank God because you come to this talk. You thank God because today you're not affected by COVID, So it's a balance. The more you think of happy things, the less stressful you're going to become. So the response need to start psychological first, and then this thing will translate into biological. So it's very important. So I tell you that fear is a learned process. The reason why we fear things because people tell us that you should be fearing this. People tell you that, the doctors tell you that if you get COVID, you can die, It's a learned process. Now, I give an example. Unless we tell our children that snake is dangerous, right? I tell our children will get snake as a pet, as well as dogs. Because we tell them you do not play with snakes. Snake is dangerous. These snakes will bite you and you will die from this thing. So that's why children never even seen a snake before, a live snake before. They're scared of snake because people told them before that it's dangerous. But dogs can also be dangerous, but we don't say that. Dogs can have rabies, they can bite you. You still can die from dogs attack, but we all get dogs as pets. So in a way, because most dogs are okay, and so we don't talk about it. So in a way, fear is a learned process. So in a way, you have to look at the positive sides of everything. The real chance of dying from COVID is actually much lower than surviving COVID. Unless you are physically unwell, the chances of surviving COVID is more than 90%. So there's 90% chance you will survive COVID. So in a way, you think that there are higher chance of surviving COVID than actually dying from COVID. So you have to hold on to this thing, you have to say that, okay, I have a better chance of survival than that. So in a way that, tell yourself and talk yourself that do not fear, because fear itself do not do you good. It doesn't serve you, make you more anxious. You cannot sleep well, your immunity go low. Your immunity go low, the chance of getting COVID and dying from COVID become higher. So you must know what is important. So mental resilience is very important key. We all life have full of problems. You may not realize it, but in your life, you have many times filled with a lot of problems, and you manage to solve all these problems. Some problems are still existing, but you are a life problem solver. Because if you live 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, for me, when I solve my problem, it's because I first passed my exams, right? Exam is a problematic. I had a lot of stress when I was a medical student, trying to pass my medical exams because it caused fear. If you actually fail that medical test, you have to resit for 1 year. That's a lot of stress because I don't want to delay, because the tuition fee need to increase. I was staying in the UK, my living accommodation have to pay more, and I really have limited money as a student. So in a way, that caused me a lot of stress, but I handled that well, and I came out top of the class. So in a way, you tell them that you are going to do okay, don't have any fear, and because you just let things go by and you just pray and God will deliver it, because you abide in God, you behold God, and you got Christ in your life. So life is full of problems, cancer or not cancer, COVID or not COVID. You have faced with many problems in your life before, and you can actually handle it better than you think you can do that. So we have problems, and we are dealing with problems every day in our life, and you can do the same with COVID. The key to tackle this is one by one. So finding and putting out a fire in the house is the now problem. Let's say I'm talking to you now, and suddenly, at the back, I can smell some, smoke burning. There's a fire in my kitchen. Of course, I have to stop this talk and I have to put out the fire. So knowing what is important and doing it first is very important, because you cannot deal with a lot of things together. So buying a fire extinguisher is not for now. You need to put out the fire with water for whatever you need to do, but you cannot wait and buy a fire extinguisher, because you have to put out the fire now. So always think, when you reset your button, you breathe in and out, think of what is the most important thing in your life now, today, while you're sitting here. Now, if that important thing you're going to do now is to say, I love you to your own family member, you just put down after this talk, you just go and say to your wife, husband, children, your father, your mother, just say that, we're not sure whether we're going to survive this COVID, but I want to tell you that I love you. And I'm very happy that we are, God has given us as a family. Just do that, because that is important in life. We never ever say that to our own family, but you should do it now. Also think of what is important. If you think that you make peace with anyone, then make peace with somebody, just do it like the businessman. Unless sometimes you do something out of your own action, you will never find peace. You are the only one who know what brings you happiness, what are the unsettled business in your own life. Settle this business one by one. because if COVID does strike, at least you've done what you need to do. So important thing is that do not even fear COVID, because the chances of you surviving COVID is much higher than dying from COVID. So when you have faith in something, an explanation is not always necessary. So you have faith, let's say faith in God, you got faith in, let's say this mobile, right? This car, when you start the car, your car will jalan, you know. So you don't even need to know how the machine in the car works, the engine, how it works. You don't need to know, because you know when you start the car will move and you go. So sometimes when you have faith in something, you don't need an explanation. You have faith in God, you don't have to explain, you know, do God really work? You know, do God answer my prayer? You don't have to have an explanation. You just pray and you have faith. So it's not a single event to always trigger a response, but your faith is a long-standing belief that can help you. And suffering is an attachment to a belief. So if you believe in something strongly, then that actually helps to turn your life around in a certain way towards normality. So we must now believe that these things of COVID will soon pass, because COVID will not last for a lifetime, will not last your lifetime. And this pandemic, even the Spanish flu last time, will take some years, but eventually it will pass, because we will develop immunity to this COVID, and COVID will not be forever there. You must know that. So everything must have an end. We cannot see the end now. We cannot see the end of the tunnel now, but there will always be a light at the end of the tunnel, because COVID will definitely come to an end. So we cannot avoid reality, but an encounter with this reality makes you into seeking, and it's awakening for you. If you today have not found a religion, have not found God in your life, maybe you should start to think about it. Back up, you know, what happens to you if you will pass on, you know. So you must think of that. So accept, and what happens next is actually quite important. So now when you have everything as an opposite, your response to suffering, and change it to a blessing. So your response to suffering should be a blessing. So, and you are blessed with wisdom. So wisdom is more important than knowledge. Sometimes what I tell you is because sometimes we just have to think, the wisdom is that you should stay at home, make sure you do social distancing and stay at home. That is wisdom, not about knowledge per se. You don't have to know, you know, what the doctors do in the hospital, because what happens if I get COVID? What the medicine that I need to buy now in case I get COVID? You don't have to worry about it, because the time will come. But what the wisdom is that you should not aim to get COVID in the first place. That means you must stay at home and practice the hand hygiene and wear a mask. So no one can negotiate your journey better than yourself, because at the end of the day, you decide what happens to your life, right? The rest are just helpers. So what happens that God sometimes can turn misery into ministry. So what now if you do have a COVID and you survive the COVID, you can share your experience and encourage others. So you're the candle, you know, you are the light in the tunnel, because you say that, look, I have COVID and I survived the COVID. Although it's scary, but I survived. So if you do have COVID before, come back into this talk and share with people and encourage people. You say, it's okay, I have COVID, I survived that. You know, it's scary, but it's okay, you know. So be thankful that this pain can actually make you grow further, because you survive, you have another lease of life. So remember that just as cancer is not from God, because a loving God will never strike anyone with cancer, the same thing is COVID is not from God. It's natural occurring because of sin. There's sin in this world, so diseases and all that is part of the nature of the world. So it's not your sin or my sin or anyone's sin. So there's no one else is to blame. But because this is a fallen world, and there will be problems, and they will have diseases. Even after COVID, there will be other diseases. So we can blame God, we can blame others, we can blame ourselves, but there's nothing. So actually, when you reset your button, you breathe in and out, close your eyes, and there's nothing to gain by blaming. So in Psalms 43, verse 5, it says, why my soul are you so downcast? Why are you so disturbed within you? Put your hope in God, for yet I will praise him. So in Hebrews 12, it says, therefore you're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses that always fix your eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. In verse 2, for the joy set before us, he endured the cross, scorning his shame, and sat on the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and that you will not lose heart. So we shouldn't lose heart, because we have Jesus as the number C, and because we can fix our eyes on Jesus. Now, at the end of the day, we have to finish the race. Finishing the race, that means that there will come a time when all of us have to, you know, face death, you know. That's finishing the race. I tell you another story that actually the story of a runner in the Olympic. Winning is not everything. That's Olympic. Now Olympic is happening in Japan. Yeah, I tell you in the Olympic spirit, winning is not everything, but every single race, the journey itself, the experience of how you run it, how you represent your country, who you meet, who you help, and how you finish the race is actually very important. So winning is not everything, but how you run the race, how you prepare, how you represent and your country, that's important. So finishing the race. So in a way, ask yourself, if I'm running this race in your own journey, always say that, what have you learned from this race? What have you learned in your life? Who have you met? And who are you going to help? And how are you going to finish? What is meaning of finishing well? Finishing well means that even, we will not win, but at least I've run with faith, So finishing well is the wish, but finishing first and last is not the point anymore. But at least when we finish, when we look back, when the time of ending can be short or shocking, because sometimes people pass on when the time is not yet up, and sometimes can be cut very short. But preparing for the finishing line becomes important in this time. So just remember, do the ABC. We need to talk to God. We need to pray. We need to have a personal relationship to God. We do not need to say long prayers because God already knows our hearts and our thoughts. So, but every day, spend 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of your time. Just talk to God and tell him about your fear and tell him how you want him to help you, because we just need to meditate on God's word. And no matter how short, a single verse, and learn how to pray. Now, in the books of Acts, when things happen, we have the Holy Spirit coming to help. Now, this Holy Spirit comes and sometimes work miracles and wonders we do not know. So in Acts chapter 4, when we stretch out our hands to heal and perform signs and wonders through the name of your holy servant, Jesus. And after they prayed, the place where they were meeting was shaken and they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and spoke the word of God boldly. So sometimes, as Christians, we do believe in miracles. And sometimes, no matter how it is, we still believe that God is sovereign and God is in control. So don't lose faith and don't lose heart. Because in everything, grace covers us all. In the song Amazing Grace, he said that grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fear will relieve. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. So always believe that there is grace that God gave us to overcome all these things. Now, the very, very practical tips I will say that how we handle this practically is to make social connection some of our priorities. So speak to your friend, speak to your family, use a video call, chat to them, talk about your emotion, talk to your fear. Do not deal with it in isolation. If you share something out, maybe people can help you. Share with your pastor, share with your church member, and pray together. The other thing is that even when you're locked down, staying active is very important. So you can exercise in your own room and the house, because when you exercise, you actually divert your attention to your physical body and stop thinking for a minute. So take your mind off your fear and anxiety. You also build your immunity because of release of endorphins, because it's a physical thing. And because of that, release of endorphins improve in relieving stress. So do some exercise, whether you do Pilates, running on the spot, walk around your room and all that. So that's considered exercise. So also you can also do housework, clear up your storeroom and things like that. So that's considered a bit of exercise because you're actually doing and taking your mind off. And be mindful of what makes you stress and have a strategy to avoid or tackle. So whatever makes you stress, try to avoid it. And you must able to sleep adequately and go and find a purpose and meaning of your life as you reflect on it. And the last thing is to trust God and pray about it, because it's important at the end of the day that when we deal with uncertainty, the only thing that's certain in life is that God is always listening. So in summary, abide in God, behold God in all his glory, Christ to be in the center of your life. And the last message is that never give up, because as I told you, COVID will eventually end. We do not know the time yet, but COVID will definitely eventually end. It will not last for many, many years. It will last for some time, and then it will get better. And that's been shown in the Spanish flu, because it did not last until now. It will definitely improve. So there are ups and downs every day, but always focus on the ups and be happy and thankful about it, and try to reduce the down. So I always reminder of one song that always give me a lot of encouragement. It's a song by Sari, right? Sari Simon Ranke. So this song is called Bagi Tuhan Tak Ada Yang Mustahil. I just read you the lyrics of the song. So it says, ku yakin saat ku berfirman, ku menang saat kau bertindak. Hidupku hanya ditentukan oleh perkataanmu. So, ku aman kerana kau menjaga, ku kuat kerana kau menopang. Hidupku hanya ditentukan oleh kuasamu. Bagi Tuhan tak ada yang mustahil, bagi Tuhan tak ada yang tak mungkin. Mukjizatnya disediakan bagiku, ku diangkat dan dipulihkannya. Ku yakin saat kau berfirman, ku menang saat kau bertindak. Hidupku hanya ditentukan oleh perkataanmu. So bagi Tuhan tak ada yang mustahil. Always think of that. Bagi Tuhan tak ada yang mustahil. Bagi Tuhan tak ada yang tak mungkin. Mukjizatnya disediakan bagiku. Ku diangkat dan dipulihkannya. So do not fear because God has promised us that a lot of things. And the song Kaulah Harapan, there is hope. There's always hope in God. So always hold on to this hope and always be a bit more positive. So actually, when you think positively, your stress level will come down. The more positive you are, it's not lying to yourself, just being positive because you choose to respond to this stress by being more positive. Just always think that things actually can get better and get improved. Don't be on the opposite, things like, oh, what if I get, what if? There are a lot of what if in life, but a lot of times what if will never happen. So just think of that. So just want to end that things, will get better. And I thank you for listening to me. And I pass the time now back to the organizer.
Baik, terima kasih kepada Dr. Chu yang telah sharing mengenai pengalamannya dalam menangani ketakutan dan ketidakpastian selama masa pandemi ini. Nah, sebelum masuk ke sesi tanya-jawab, kita lanjut dulu untuk ke materi berikutnya. Saya ingin mengenalkan pembicara kedua hari ini, yaitu Dr. Vivi Bagia Praja. Dr. Vivi adalah seorang dokter spesialis kesehatan jiwa yang saat ini berpraktik di Rumah Sakit Santosa Bandung Sentral dan Pajajaran Medical Center. Dr. Vivi akan membahas mengenai gangguan kesehatan jiwa yang muncul karena pandemi ini dan bagaimana cara mengatasinya. Untuk itu, mari kita sambut Dr. Vivi. Untuk Dr. Vivi, kami persilakan.
Oke, terima kasih Aulia. Udah kedengeran suaranya?
Sudah.
Oke, saya share screen ya. Oke, saya mulai aja ya. Terima kasih banyak untuk panitia yang sudah boleh membantu saya untuk share screen-nya. Maaf, barusan ada gangguan teknis. Nah, saya bersyukur dan berterima kasih untuk kesempatan yang diberikan pada saya malam hari ini untuk saya bisa sharing juga apa yang terjadi di Indonesia. Kalau tadi yang Dr. Chu dari Singapura dan sangat bersyukur ya semua yang sudah disampaikan itu sangat holistik, sangat lengkap dan mengingatkan kita semua pada hal yang paling penting dalam hidup kita. Oke, slide. Nah, ya sekilas perkenalan dari saya. Slide. Nah, waktu saya sekarang 20 menit, jadi saya akan mencoba menyelesaikan dalam 20 menit. Nanti akan kita kembangkan dalam sesi pertanyaan aja ya. Nah, untuk COVID-19 update di Indonesia, saya mendapatkan data per tanggal 29 Juli, jadi kemarin, bahwa secara global di seluruh dunia ada 223 negara yang sudah mengalami atau ada kasus COVID ini dengan yang terkonfirmasi sekian kasus dan juga meninggalnya sudah 4 juta orang. Sedangkan di Indonesia sendiri positif COVID-nya 3.300.000 dengan sembuhnya 2,6 juta dan yang sudah meninggal adalah 90.500. Dan saya lihat kemarin data di antaranya juga banyak yang tenaga kesehatan ya, ada 500 dokter, 500 sekian dokter juga yang sudah di dalam waktu menangani COVID ini juga akhirnya harus gugur. Slide. Nah, ternyata dampak COVID ini sendiri bukan hanya kepada aspek kesehatan. Mungkin memang kesehatan sepertinya yang sangat sangat bombardir gitu ya, di kacau balau gitu ya. Tapi sebetulnya ya kita juga tahu bahwa secara aspek ekonomi, aspek pembangunan negara itu semua sangat terpengaruh dan memiliki dampak yang sangat berat ya buat ekonomi di negara kita khususnya. Kemudian juga di sektor pendidikan, anak-anak dan juga yang sekolah ataupun yang kuliah, mereka juga sangat terganggu di dalam proses pendidikannya. Gitu. Kemudian sektor pariwisata kita tahu juga sangat terganggu, sangat turun dan mereka bahkan mungkin banyak sekali tempat-tempat pariwisata yang tutup, mungkin juga yang memiliki usaha-usaha di sektor pariwisata juga jadinya tutup. Bahkan di bagian politik dan keamanan di aspek itu juga ada beberapa orang mungkin yang ada beberapa pihak yang juga bisa memanfaatkan situasi yang sedang pelik ini untuk politik dan juga gangguan stabilitas keamanan. Jadi sebenarnya COVID-19 ini memang sangat-sangat besar dampaknya ya untuk kita semua khususnya di negara Indonesia. Slide. Nah, jadi COVID-19 ini sudah menjadi sumber stres atau stresor juga secara psikososial ya, karena yaitu pandemi ini sangat meresahkan karena infeksius gitu ya, menular gitu kan, apalagi yang sekarang ini makin kayaknya cepat gitu menularnya. Kemudian juga ada berbagai limitasi dari bagian fasilitas kesehatan sendiri, mungkin pengadaan obat-obatan, kemudian tenaga kesehatannya juga gitu. Jadi ini bisa menyebabkan stresor psikososial bagi masyarakat maupun juga bagi tenaga kesehatannya. Kemudian yang kedua, kita juga banyak sekali menghadapi hoax gitu ya. Banyak sekali kan hoax tentang vaksin, hoax tentang bagaimana cara COVID ini menular, bagaimana penanganannya juga gitu. Berbagai info itu seperti semuanya membombardir juga diri kita sehingga bisa menjadi sumber stres. Kemudian dengan cara bekerja secara daring atau belajar secara daring itu juga seringkali jadi sumber kejenuhan ya. Saya banyak pasien-pasien saya juga yang remaja gitu, SMA atau kuliah, mereka sampai berobat gitu maksudnya karena yaitu merasa jenuh dan sulit gitu karena terus ada di rumah. Kemudian dengan situasi lockdown atau PPKM itu juga yang sangat mempengaruhi ekonomi pariwisata tadi yang sudah disebutkan, dan itu menjadi satu tekanan juga buat rekan-rekan kita yang di sektor tersebut, kemudian menjadi stresor psikis juga. Dan mungkin juga kita mengalami ada anggota keluarga kita atau sahabat kita yang sudah gugur atau mungkin jadi penyintas. Nah, tapi ternyata itu juga jadi stigma ya. Jadi semacam kalau misalnya udah kena COVID itu di stigma jelek gitu, atau misalnya dihindari atau dijauhi dulu gitu. Nah, itu juga bisa jadi suatu sumber stres psikis bagi kita. Slide. Oke, di Perhimpunan Dokter Spesialis Kedokteran Jiwa Indonesia, ini di websitenya, boleh nanti Bapak Ibu akan bisa melihat juga ya, di sini ada swab periksa gitu, jadi self examination gitu ya, untuk berbagai resiko-resiko gangguan kesehatan jiwa yang bisa terjadi karena pandemi yang berkepanjangan ini, yaitu ada 4 nih sini ya, tentang bunuh diri, cemas, trauma, dan depresi. Karena sejak awalnya pandemi ini sudah PDSKJI mengeluarkan swab periksa ini untuk membantu masyarakat untuk bisa melakukan pemeriksaannya sendiri dulu sebelum mungkin nanti pada akhirnya kalau memerlukan bisa meminta bantuan kepada profesional ya. Dan yang didapatkan 3 besarnya kondisinya adalah cemas, depresi, dan trauma psikologis. Nah, nanti untuk kedepannya jadi Bapak Ibu peserta sekalian juga boleh mencoba ke website ini ya dan mengisinya. Slide. Nah, dari 5 bulan pertama pandemi ini ada 4.010 yang sudah melakukan swab periksa gitu. Dan ternyata 64,8% diantaranya mengakui mengalami masalah psikologis. Kebanyakan memang di sini adalah perempuan, 71%. Kemudian untuk jumlah jenis kasusnya kebanyakan adalah trauma, yaitu 75%. Kemudian diikuti dengan cemas 65% dan depresi 62%. Yang di-highlight juga di sini adalah kasus-kasus depresi atau percobaan bunuh diri selama pandemi COVID ya. Ternyata kebanyakan berpikiran untuk lebih baik mati itu sekitar usia 18 sampai 29 tahun. Dan tadi ya masalah psikologis juga itu di bagian yang sebelah kiri itu ditemukan pada orang-orang yang usianya 17 sampai 29 tahun dan lebih dari 60 tahun. Kenapa ya? Nah, kelihatannya 17 sampai 29 tahun itu usia-usia yang masih dalam tahap untuk menuju kedewasaan atau kemapanan. Nah, biasanya kemungkinan besar di sini adalah bagaimana kondisi mekanisme pertahanan mental mereka mungkin belum matang gitu. Sedangkan kalau yang udah lebih tua, lebih dari 60 tahun justru karena sudah lansia Nah, jadi biasanya sudah lebih rigid gitu, lebih kaku untuk bisa melakukan fleksibel terhadap situasi yang terjadi sekarang ya. Jadi ternyata kebanyakan ditemukan pada kelompok usia tersebut. Kemudian yang tadi ya pikiran kematian terbanyak itu pada usia 18 sampai 29 tahun. Hampir setiap hari mungkin 15% dari mereka itu memikirkan lebih baik mati gitu. Nah, tapi tentu saja bunuh diri bukanlah solusi, tapi adalah gejala penyakit. Sehingga kalau misalnya menemukan orang yang seperti ini, justru harus cari pertolongan profesional segera. Slide. Nah, beberapa keluhan dari pasien-pasien yang datang pada saya, pada kami, para psikiater, untuk 3 besar gangguan kesehatan jiwa tadi, yaitu cemas, depresi, dan trauma. Nah, cemasnya itu seringkali pasien-pasien saya mengeluh takut tertular gitu ya. Jadi benar-benar sampai nggak berani untuk keluar rumah, ke halaman aja nggak berani gitu. Karena di tetangga sebelah ada yang lagi kena, terus isoman, terus lagi berjemur, katanya gitu ya. Kemudian cemasnya karena apa? Ketidakpastian pekerjaan. Kemudian juga tentang pendidikan dan overwhelmed dengan kondisi di rumah gitu. Karena ya tidak sedikit yang mengakui bahwa ketika papa, mama, anak-anak semua pada kumpul di rumah dalam kondisi pandemi yang berkepanjangan ini, mungkin awalnya merasa nyaman ya karena misalnya jarang bertemu sebelumnya. Tapi kalau misalnya terus-menerus kelamaan, katanya mereka jadinya banyak konflik antara suami istri, antara orang tua dan anak ya. Ada kejenuhan. Nah, itu juga yang bisa membuat jadi cemas. Kemudian depresi, biasanya mereka mengeluhkan karena terhimpit persoalan ekonomi. Kemudian juga ada yang bilang sama saya sedih kehilangan sahabat-sahabatnya yang seumuran, juga anggota keluarga, dan juga tidak bisa lagi melakukan hobi. Sedangkan yang trauma sampai akhirnya mengalami sulit tidur, dan mereka juga mengalami kecemasan yang berlebihan karena mereka pernah menjadi pasien gitu ya, mengalami isolasi baik di rumah sakit maupun di rumah. Terutama mungkin yang di rumah sakit yang lebih traumatik gitu ya. Kemudian menyaksikan keluarga mereka yang sakit atau meninggal dan juga berkabung yang tidak tuntas karena ya dengan kondisi pandemi ini tidak boleh misalnya di rumah duka dan sebagainya. Jadi berkabungnya itu tidak tuntas gitu. Slide. Nah, jadi gejala atau tanda yang dialami dan didapatkan waktu saya melakukan pemeriksaan psikiatrik, biasanya keluhan-keluhannya sulit tidur, katanya takut tidak bangun lagi ya. Kemudian keluhan-keluhan fisik yang banyak sekali, sakit kepala, mengganja di leher, berdebar, sesak nafas, keluhan pencernaan, kesemutan, nggak bisa merasa santai, was-was, gampang tersinggung, gampang menangis juga, kemudian malas beraktivitas, susah berkonsentrasi, ingin mengakhiri hidup. Baru sekitar mungkin minggu lalu ya ada pasien saya yang bilang, ya saya lebih baik kalau gitu minum obat sebanyak-banyaknya. Bukan supaya sehat, tapi mungkin supaya mengakhiri hidupnya. Atau menabrakkan diri aja gitu. Nah, kemudian bisa juga ada yang meningkat berat badannya. Bukan karena kondisi senang ya, tapi justru karena stres akhirnya mengalihkannya kepada meningkat makan, akhirnya jadinya meningkat berat badannya juga gitu. Slide. Oke. Nah, jadi pandemi COVID-19 ini memang sangat nyata ya, merupakan suatu stresor psikososial yang dirasakan oleh hampir setiap orang. Dan sangat wajar di saat krisis ini kita menjadi stres, cemas, marah, bingung, sedih, depresi. Atau mungkin juga saya masih menemukan beberapa orang yang denial ya. Jadi mereka bilang, enggak lah, nggak akan kena saya sih gitu. Sebenarnya orang-orang ini juga bukan pemberani sebetulnya gitu. Tapi mereka juga sebenarnya orang-orang yang sudah sudah kayak menyerah gitu ya dengan situasi, udahlah kalau begitu saya akan bertindak sebaliknya. Ini juga satu defense mechanism yang lain lagi gitu. Padahal mereka sebenarnya bukan pemberani, bukan ya. Nah, kemudian seperti yang tadi dijelaskan oleh Ju, bahwa stresor itu akan menyebabkan tubuh kita mengeluarkan hormon stres gitu, yaitu yang dibilang tadi kortisol ya. Nah, hormon kortisol ini sendiri dia berefek pada berbagai organ tubuh gitu. Jadi kalau kita kayak stres itu seperti orangnya tadi mau perang atau mau lari atau mau ujian gitu. Wah, berdebar-debar, berkeringatan, cemas gitu. Nah, itu bisa dirasakan karena stresor-stresor baik itu karena berita-berita ya. Terus kemudian ya berita yang dibaca di TV atau misalnya keluarga sendiri atau family, teman gitu. Itu bisa membuat kita menjadi stres. Nah, di sini saya juga mendapatkan dari suatu sumber yang mau menyatakan bagaimana sekarang kita ini di era COVID-19 ya. Apakah kita sekarang masih ada dalam zona ketakutan zona belajar atau zona bertumbuh. Nah, bisa dicek nih masing-masing orang nih ya. Kalau misalnya sekarang ini nih masih dia beli stok obat, masker berlebihan, berarti masih di dalam zona ketakutan. Kalau misalnya menyebarkan rasa takut ya, misalnya dapat WhatsApp group gitu ya tentang harus hati-hati begini dan begitu, terus nggak disaring dulu langsung di-sharing. Nah, itu juga masih zona ketakutan ya. Nah, kemudian kalau misalnya kita udah maju nih, udah pandeminya kan udah 1 tahun lebih ya. Nah, kita mau ke zona belajar. Kita mulai menerima kenyataan, kita stop membaca berita yang buat cemas gitu ya. Kemudian mulai menyadari situasi dan berpikir untuk solusinya. Jadi bukan terus-menerus mengeluh, tapi kita cari solusinya apa yang bisa kita kerjakan. Nah, kemudian ya saya berharap sih kita semua sudah ada di zona bertumbuh sekarang ya. Jadi misalnya kita justru memikirkan gimana ya tentang orang lain, gimana ya cara membantunya, bagaimana ya saya pakai kemampuan saya untuk menolong mereka gitu ya. Kemudian berbuat baik bukan hanya kepada orang lain, tapi juga bahkan mungkin pada diri sendiri ya. Jadi nggak terus-menerus membuat diri sendiri juga cemas, tapi justru kita menjaga emosi kita gitu supaya kita bersukacita dan menularkannya itu kepada orang lain ya. Mencari cara untuk beradaptasi, kemudian mempraktekkan keheningan, kesabaran, menjalin relasi dan kreativitas. Semoga kita semua sudah ada di zona belajar sampai zona bertumbuh ini ya. Slide. Nah, gangguan kesehatan jiwa sebenarnya adalah suatu penyakit medis. Jadi bukanlah suatu aib dan juga bukanlah gaib ya. Kesehatan jiwa ini sama pentingnya dengan kesehatan fisik. Makanya sangat bersyukur kalau Hock Im Tong juga memperhatikan untuk membahas tentang kesehatan mental. Dari kemarin-kemarin kan kita udah bahas banyak ya tentang lansia, tentang anak, tentang bagaimana isolasi mandiri, dan nanti minggu depan tentang long COVID misalnya. Kesehatan mental juga ini sudah diperhatikan dan saya sangat bersyukur itu. Karena ternyata gangguan kesehatan jiwa itu bisa mengenai siapa saja tanpa kecuali ya. Mau pekerjaannya apa, mau kematangan dewasanya seperti apa, mau sebetulnya beriman, misalnya kita beriman juga seperti apa, tapi ada situasi kondisi di mana memang kita bisa mengalami gangguan kesehatan jiwa. Dan gangguan kesehatan jiwa itu adalah karena penyakit medis, maka bisa diobati gitu. Baik secara obat-obatan, farmakoterapi maupun psikoterapi. Nah, sebetulnya kesehatan jiwa itu terdiri dari pikiran, emosi, dan juga perilaku yang sejahtera ya. Jadi itulah sehat jiwa gitu, pikiran, perasaan atau emosi dan perilaku. Dan dipengaruhi oleh 5 aspek yang saya gambarkan di yang sebelah kanan ini. Jadi di dalam kesehatan jiwa ada faktor biologis, ada faktor sosial, psikologis, kultural dan spiritual gitu ya. Jadi nggak selalu bahwa gangguan kesehatan jiwa itu karena kurang iman gitu. Karena kegagalan seseorang beriman, enggak. Banyak sekali faktor-faktor yang lainnya. Kalau secara biologis misalnya genetik, memang dari orang tuanya memang pencemas misalnya. Dan itu dicontohkan kepada anaknya. Jadi nggak aneh kalau misalnya anaknya juga misalnya jadi pencemas. Kemudian secara sosial misalnya peer-nya, peer group-nya atau lingkungannya. Memang orang-orang yang misalnya sering memberitakan sesuatu tanpa menyaring. Nah, jadi akhirnya saling men-sharingkan sesuatu yang menakutkan gitu. Nah, itu juga bisa ya jadinya secara sosial berpengaruh. Kemudian secara psikologis. Secara psikologis sangat ditentukan bagaimana seseorang ini dibesarkan dari pola asuhnya, bagaimana dia trauma-trauma pada masa kecil misalnya. Nah, ini secara psikologis juga sangat berpengaruh pada kesehatan jiwa seseorang pada saat ini. Kemudian secara kultur atau budaya, ini juga pada orang tertentu misalnya dengan budaya tertentu, nah misalnya dia ada tuntutan yang lebih besar di bidang apa gitu misalnya. Nah, jadi kalau misalnya secara budayanya dia terus tidak terpenuhi gitu apa yang menjadi tuntutan budayanya, itu juga bisa menjadi salah satu aspek gangguan kesehatan jiwanya. Dan spiritual ini saya sebutkan terakhir, tapi bukan berarti paling kecil ya. Semuanya sama pentingnya gitu. Nah, kondisi spiritual seseorang juga bukan karena misalnya rajin beribadahnya, tapi bagaimana relasi dengan Tuhan yang akan menolong seseorang ini juga untuk overcome gitu, untuk gangguan kesehatan jiwanya. Jadi 5 aspek ini sangat mempengaruhi kesehatan jiwa ya. Jadi bukan hanya gagal kekurangan iman, gagal beriman, tapi banyak hal yang bisa mempengaruhi seseorang mengalami gangguan kesehatan jiwa. Slide. Nah, bagaimana sih menjaga kesehatan mental kita selama, ini saya bahannya kemarin itu tentang selama isoman ya. Jadi selama isoman ini mungkin ya tadi dari Dr. Chu juga ada rasa kesepian, ada ketidakpastian, ada mungkin kesal, kecewa, menyesal, dan merasa tidak tertolong. Slide. Bagaimana sih mengatasinya? Ternyata back to the basic gitu. Soal apa? Soal tidur yang berkualitas. Bagaimana menjaga rutinitas kita, bangun tidur, waktu tidur, olahraga, kemudian tidak melakukan kebiasaan-kebiasaan yang buruk seperti konsumsi alkohol, tidak merokok gitu ya. Dan juga melakukan meditasi atau berdoa. Nah, ini akan menolong kita dalam masa-masa isoman atau masa-masa pandemi yang masih kita jalani ini, untuk kita bisa mengatasi perasaan-perasaan yang tidak nyaman seperti tadi ya. Kemudian selain itu kita perlu membatasi paparan berita, misalnya di TV, medsos, grup WA atau apapun, itu hanya mungkin 1-2 jam aja per hari ya. Jadi jangan terus-menerus kita melihat berita-berita tentang COVID ini misalnya, tapi kita harus membatasi diri ya. Kemudian tetaplah bersosialisasi, menjalin relasi dengan keluarga atau rekan yang membangun ya. Jadi pilih-pilih juga nih gitu. Kalau misalnya mau cerita, mau curhat, mau sharing juga, bukan dengan orang yang iya begini ya makin ngomporin gitu ya. Tapi ada orang-orang yang bisa membangun, saling positif. Kemudian tetap lakukan hobi ya. Meskipun misalnya lagi isoman, tetap bisa misalnya main musik, bisa melakukan journaling, baca buku, mungkin apapun yang jadi hobi-hobi selama ini, atau mungkin temukan hobi yang baru gitu, sehingga justru akan jadi lebih kreatif di masa isoman ini. Slide. Nah, waspadai berita bohong atau hoax seputar COVID. Jadi, selalulah kita periksa sah tidaknya data itu dengan cek ke sumber yang terpercaya. Ya, misalnya yang saya sebutkan di sini sih ada dari WHO, CDC, covid19.go.id. Nah, supaya kalau misalnya kita tuh dapat di grup WA tentang situasi tentang vaksin, ternyata ada yang misalnya kondisinya jelek setelah divaksin. Nah, apakah itu benar gitu ya? Atau kemarin-kemarin saya baru dapat juga kaset tes swab antigen itu yang merek Abbott ya, terus udah gitu pakai air keran katanya gitu kan, terus ternyata jadinya positif gitu ya dua-duanya. Itu juga sama, itu juga salah ya. Jadi coba cek ke situs-situs ini supaya tidak terpancing oleh hoax atau bahkan men-sharingkannya sebelum kita menyaringnya. Kemudian kita perlu berpikir jernih dan tidak langsung percaya konten kiriman forward ya. Pastikan kredibilitas atau keaslian alamat situs itu. Slide. Nah, beberapa tips untuk mengurangi stres dan meningkatkan kebugaran selama kita menjalani masa pandemi yang belum berakhir ini. Nah, tadi sudah juga disebutkan sama Dr. Chu ya soal relaksasi dengan cara breathing atau bernafas ya. Jadi marilah kita berhenti sejenak, bernafas, kita ambil nafas pelan-pelan, tarik nafas melalui hidung, mungkin sekarang sambil bisa dilakukan ya, dipraktekkan. Nah, tarik nafasnya lewat hidung, pelan-pelan, lalu hembuskannya lewat mulut. Keluarkan secara perlahan-lahan. Itu bisa dilakukan berulang-ulang. Nah, ini merupakan salah satu cara yang terbaik untuk menurunkan tingkat stres karena otak kita mendapat sinyal untuk mengistirahatkan, gitu ya. Kemudian perhatikan bagaimana perasaan kita dan apa yang kita pikirkan tanpa menilai apapun, dan kita tidak terus selalu reaktif gitu ya terhadap berbagai berita atau kondisi, tapi kita bisa melakukan respon-respon yang positif. Slide. Nah, ini sama ya dengan yang tadi ya, jadi tetap menjaga relasi dengan orang-orang yang terdekat, kita bicara pada orang yang bisa kita percaya, jalin komunikasi kan sekarang bisa pakai video call, pakai Zoom gitu ya, keluarga besar udah lama nih nggak ketemu, ya udah kita bikin pakai Zoom misalnya ya, dan kita bisa memberitahu mereka bagaimana perasaan kita dan apa yang mengganggu pikiran kita. Slide. Nah, ini jaga rutinitas tadi ya. Jadi ini lebih detail, yaitu misalnya lakukanlah misalnya bangun dan tidur pada waktu yang sama setiap hari, jaga kebersihan diri atau mandi, jangan jadi misalnya aduh malas ngapa-ngapain di rumah nggak usah mandi ya, tetap harus mandi gitu ya. Kemudian makan makanan yang sehat, yang olahraga yang teratur. Nah, mungkin ini sebetulnya seperti sepele ya. Bangun tidur jam berapa, tidur jam berapa, makan harus teratur, mandi harus juga teratur. Kenapa sih harus hal seperti yang sepele ini? Ternyata ini adalah faktor-faktor yang menolong jam biologis di dalam tubuh kita itu bisa berfungsi dengan baik. Sehingga biasanya kalau ada rutinitas yang sepele mungkin seperti ini kelihatannya, tapi mood akan menjadi lebih baik, akan lebih siap untuk menghadapi apa yang akan terjadi pada hari itu gitu. Jadi lakukanlah mulai dari hal yang sederhana ini ya. Kemudian tetaplah sisihkan waktu untuk melakukan hal-hal yang disukai dan istirahat secara teratur dari aktivitas yang berkaitan dengan screen tadi ya, berarti hanya dibatasi 1-2 jam. Hindari alkohol dan obat-obatan sebagai cara mengatasi ketakutan, kegelisahan, kebosanan, dan isolasi sosial. Jadi sangat banyak ternyata pasien-pasien kami juga yang misalnya tadinya belum ada gangguan kesehatan jiwa, jadi ada gangguan kesehatan jiwa selama pandemi ini. Tapi ada juga yang tadinya misalnya udah bagus, udah sembuh, udah baik, jadi kambuh lagi gitu. Karena dipicu oleh pandemi ini. Sangat banyak pasien-pasien yang demikian. Slide. Nah, yang keempat ini berbaik hati pada diri sendiri dan orang lain. Oh ini sorry ya, jangan mengharap terlalu banyak hal dari diri kita saat kita merasa kesulitan ya. Jadi berbaik hatilah pada diri kita sendiri, tidak terus-menerus menuntut saya harus baik, saya harus kuat, saya harus bisa. Nah, ada kalanya memang kita nggak kuat, ada kalanya kita memang nggak bisa. It's okay to not be okay. Nah, akui itu dan juga sharinglah kepada orang yang Anda bisa percaya gitu ya. Nah, kemudian membantu orang lain juga bisa memberi pengaruh yang baik ternyata. Jadi itu buat kita memiliki satu self esteem yang lebih baik gitu. Karena kita masih bisa berguna untuk orang lain, kita masih bisa berbagi dengan orang lain. Nggak selalu misalnya soal uang ya, tapi misalnya berbagi perhatian, mendoakan, kemudian mungkin menelpon gitu, apa yang bisa saya bantu. Nah, itu akan menolong orang yang kita bantu itu dan juga akan menolong diri kita sendiri ternyata. Jadi berbaik hatilah pada diri sendiri dan juga pada orang lain ya. Slide. Nah, kapan sih kita perlu minta bantuan? Jangan ragu untuk mencari bantuan dari profesional kalau memang apa yang dirasakan tadi seperti cemas, depresi, kemudian trauma itu sulit tidur, gangguan fisik itu sudah sangat mengganggu kehidupan sehari-hari ya. Mengganggu tidur, mengganggu relasi, mengganggu aktivitas sehari-hari. Nah, itu artinya sudah perlu bantuan dari profesional gitu. Jadi jangan ragu untuk menghubungi psikiater, psikolog atau rohaniwan, mana dulu boleh. Nah, untuk bisa minta bantuan. Jadi supaya lebih cepat ditangani ya. Slide. Nah, begini ini satu hal yang saya bisa juga sharing tentang teknik relaksasi. Sebetulnya tadi Dr. Chu juga sudah sempat menyampaikannya ya. Saya senang banget jadi meskipun nggak janjian ya, tapi bahannya banyak yang sama gitu hari ini. Nah, jadi pertama tuh teknik relaksasi ini ada 5 tahap. Yang pertama positioning. Nah, jadi posisikan tubuh kita senyaman mungkin nih. Misalnya dengan cara duduk bersandar atau misalnya berbaring, tapi jangan sampai ketiduran ya. Nah, ini bisa dilakukan kalau tadi Dr. Chu bilang mungkin 2 kali sehari, boleh 2 kali sehari, 3 kali sehari, ambil waktu saya 5 sampai 10 menit misalnya. Kemudian yang dilakukan adalah yang kedua adalah sesudah positioning yang nyaman, guided imagery. Jadi kita pejamkan mata, bayangkan diri kita itu berada dalam situasi yang menyenangkan atau membuat kita nyaman. Misalnya ada orang-orang yang merasa nyaman kalau membayangkan saya sedang ada di pantai gitu, kalau enggak sedang ada di daerah pegunungan misalnya gitu, boleh seperti itu, atau di taman bunga gitu, atau yang tadi juga yang dari Dr. Chu sempat sampaikan, ingat bahwa ada Allah beserta dengan kita, bayangkan itu begitu ya, boleh seperti itu. Kemudian yang berikutnya adalah mulai breathing atau mulai tarik nafas dengan hidung perlahan-lahan, kemudian buang nafasnya menghembuskan lewat mulut perlahan-lahan, dan ini dilakukan berulang-ulang mungkin sekitar 5 menit lah, 3-5 menit sehingga ada irama tarik nafas dan buang nafas itu udah nyaman gitu ya. Ini jadi tadi positioning dulu, habis itu pejamkan mata, bayangkan situasi yang menyenangkan, kemudian mulai breathing-nya. Nah, kalau sudah sekitar 5 menit ini kita lanjutkan dengan namanya progressive muscle relaxation. Jadi mulai fokus perhatian pada organ tubuh yang akan direlaksasikan. Biasanya sih dari kepala ke ujung kaki gitu ya. Jadi rasakan atau ya ini sih dibilang perintahkan bagian-bagian tubuh ya. Jadi misalnya kepala sekarang kita akan relaksasi. Pelan-pelan relaksasi. Jadi bayangkan otot-ototnya itu dari tegang berubah jadi lentur gitu. Ya, jadi ini sangat betul sekali memang imajinasi. Nah, jadi boleh nanti dilatih ya, karena ini ini berguna sekali kalau misalnya kita mengalami kecemasan atau kekhawatiran. Nah, teknik relaksasi ini bisa dipraktekkan ya. Kemudian lakukan hitung mundur dari 10 sampai 1 dan bayangin kayak lagi menuruni tangga. Nah, sudah tadi kan perlahan-lahan ya. Oh ya, sorry. Jadi saya jelasinnya misalnya dari kepala dulu ya. Kepala, otot kepala harus rileks. Kemudian turun ke leher, otot-otot leher rileks. Lakukan kemudian ke dada, ke perut, ke kaki sampai ujung jari-jari gitu ya. Nah, kemudian lakukan hitung mundur tadi 10 sampai 1 dan visualisasikan keinginan atau ucapkan hal yang menjadi tujuan. Nah, jadi pada saat sudah selesai itu dari ujung kepala sampai ujung kaki melenturkannya. Nah, kemudian waktu udah sampai di ujung kaki terus kita lakukan self suggestion gitu. Jadi kita bilang setelah ini saya akan bangun, saya akan buka mata, saya akan merasa lebih rileks, lebih sehat dan lebih bahagia. Jadi mengatakan itu pada diri sendiri ya. Kemudian lakukan hitung maju dari 1 sampai 5, habis itu baru terjaga atau bangun ya. Slide. Oke, ini saya yang terakhir. Jadi di tengah badai pandemi yang melanda kehidupan kita, tetaplah ya Allah yang menjadi sumber perteduhan, kekuatan dan pertolongan. Di Mazmur 46 ayat 10 dikatakan be still and know that I am God. Jadi memang di tengah segala situasi badai seperti tadi, di tengah segala situasi perang, ada seorang anak kecil yang tetap memandang ke langit dan dia berharap, dia punya pengharapan. Nah, disitulah kita juga tetap berharap kepada Tuhan, tetap berpegang pada Tuhan, tetap yakin bahwa Tuhan jadi sumber kekuatan, jadi sumber pertolongan dan perteduhan kita. Oke, terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih banyak Dr. Vivi untuk materinya, sangat bermanfaat untuk kita semua ya. Nah, sebelum masuk ke sesi tanya jawab, before we start the Q&A session, I would like to ask Dr. Chu and Dr. Vivi a question. So probably Dr. Chu first. So my question is, right now, a lot of people are working from home, but because of that, their work-life balance has become disturbed. So they ended up working more at home. So what kind of advice or suggestion that you can give to improve work-life balance, especially in this pandemic?
I think it depends on what kind of work that you do. And sometimes I think work can be more efficient, especially if you look at Jakarta. I've been to Jakarta in Indonesia a few times, right? You can spend 1 or 2 hours in the traffic jam, you know. So if I can have 1 or 2 hours of working from home extra, I think I'll be more, more fruitful doing it at home. I think it depends on the situations. I think it's important that when you work from home, that you have some time to really move around. Move around is actually important. And sometimes there's a balcony in my place, which I just go. Sometimes you have to take a break and go out and just breathe the air. So you have to take scheduled break, especially for your back, because you're working from home. Usually you're doing laptop work, yeah, and computer work. So if you sit in a position for 30 minutes, 1 hour, you can get quite a lot of stress on your back. So do remember to come out and walk around and also relax your eyes. And I think that's what I usually will do if you work from home, and also give some time or space to yourself in the scheduled timetable. Because let's say my wife also work from home, and sometimes you have multiple Zoom meeting at the same time. It's going to be quite challenging, yeah, because you can hear each other talking. So give some specific timetable, what you should do, and some personal space.
Alright, thank you very much. Ya, jadi Bapak Ibu yang sedang bekerja dari rumah nih, yang kerjaannya Zoom meeting, misalnya Zoom meetingnya banyak sekali kayak saya, jangan lupa untuk istirahat, jalan, stretching, mungkin keluar rumah dikit untuk menghirup udara segar. Nah, berikutnya pertanyaan untuk Dr. Vivi. Nah, Dr. Vivi nih, saat ini masih banyak sekali masyarakat yang takut di-COVID-kan. Karena takut di-COVID-kan, mereka tidak jadi berani swab ataupun pergi ke rumah sakit. Padahal misalnya kondisi fisik mereka sedang tidak baik. Jadi ada gejala nih, batuk, terus di rumah tapi saturasi oksigennya di bawah 90%. Nah, bagaimana caranya mengedukasi atau membujuk teman-teman atau tetangga yang seperti ini?
Oke, terima kasih. Nah, jadi memang betul sih tadi yang Aulia bilang bahwa kemungkinan besar mereka memang belum teredukasi ya, mungkin sudah sering dengar gitu ya, harus begini, harus begitu, tapi belum benar-benar paham. Atau misalnya juga kayak kita webinar-webinar yang sebelumnya sebenarnya sudah banyak sekali yang kita sampaikan tentang COVID misalnya ya. Tapi waktu itu mungkin belum sampai ke teman-teman kita sendiri, keluarga kita sendiri gitu. Jadi nggak terlalu nyimak. Nah, jadi memang perlu sih namanya promosi kesehatan itu dilakukan terus-menerus gitu. Ya. Terus yang namanya memang perilaku kesehatan itu paling tidak mudah untuk dirubah ya. Tapi bukan berarti kita berhenti gitu. Nah, kita tetap mempromosikan kesehatan. Nah, terus ya apa yang bisa kita lakukan? Yang tadi kan untuk tetap mempromosikan kesehatan. Tapi ada juga yang misalnya orang lain kita lihat di jalan nggak pakai masker gitu ya, terus misalnya kita dimarahin gitu. Itu nggak usah juga sih sampai kayak gitu ya gitu. Tapi apa yang bisa kita lakukan aja buat keluarga kita, buat kita ya kita lakukan edukasi lagi sampai mereka juga akhirnya bisa paham gitu.
Ya, terima kasih Dokter Vivi untuk jawabannya. Jadi Bapak, Ibu, Saudara, kalau misalnya punya temen nih yang masih nggak percaya sama COVID, nih ilmu-ilmu dari Zoom meeting, Zoom minarnya Parosia, jangan disimpan buat diri sendiri aja, tapi di-share juga ya, supaya yang lain itu tahu apa yang harus dilakukan, terus supaya mereka juga dapat pengetahuan tentang COVID. Oke, sekarang kita lanjut untuk menjawab pertanyaan dari peserta. Untuk panitia boleh ditampilkan. Ya, terima kasih. Oke. Mungkin ini pertanyaannya untuk Dr. Chu ya. So I will translate. So I have.
It's okay. I can read. It's okay. I read. It's okay.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
I can read.
Okay.
So patient have a brain tumor stage 2B. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharing. Okay. Yes. So how do you actually stop yourself from being sad, yeah, and focus on fighting the cancer, especially when you have as a caregiver, yeah, as a caregiver. I think this is a challenging a caregiver expect is actually to help the person who you are caring for, and sometimes to be able to help is actually not just caregiver. Sorry, you say so it's actually the patient himself, right? Have a cancer of the brain, right?
Yeah. And then the patient kind of lose a friend. So
the friend, yes, yeah.
And the friend actually said to her like, "You're gonna die soon, so I think it's no use that I accompany you." So it's really sad. It's been really sad for her. She's been crying for a week.
Okay. So there are two things that I remember. I always like songs. So sometimes when you actually stuck with a situation, you always have songs that lagu rohani to help you. So I remember this song is appropriate. Edward Cheng has sang this song. Tuhan tak pernah janji, langit selalu biru, tapi dia berjanji selalu menyertai. So sometimes, right, when we have a situation, anyone can get cancer, but it's a God has always said that He will travel with you all the way, and then he tak pernah janji jalan selalu rata, tapi dia berjanji berikan kekuatan. I think it's important actually sometimes, that's why I say that God is the only person who will always be with you, because man and woman will leave you, but really it is really God who actually will care enough, and that's why Jesus had to come and we are safe because of that, because human will desert us. So in a way, don't worry too much about it. I think sometimes I am very sad in situations. Sometimes I'm sad because I lose a patient. Sometimes I grow very close to a patient. They ask me, Dr. Chu, I'm going to die. What should I do? So I always encourage that you are not losing unless you throw in the towel. You're broken, but you're not defeated. So it's important to say you're broken. That means you seems that you're losing. But as long as you're in a ring, a fighting match, as long as you don't throw in the towel, the bell has not ring, you are not losing yet, So in a way that if God is in the ring with you and He's fighting with you together, you don't need anyone else. So sometimes you just have to do that Tuhan akan berikan kekuatan, and sometimes you have to just believe strongly in that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Jadi buat Bapak atau Ibu yang sedang mengalami masa-masa sulit, jangan lupa kalau Tuhan selalu berserta Bapak Ibu. Dan kalau misalnya mengalami yang hal sulit seperti kanker, ingatlah bahwa ini tuh apa ya, it's God's fight. Jadi Tuhan yang akan berjuang, dan ini adalah apa namanya, apa ya, God's fight bahasa Indonesia.
So in the Edward also wrote in the jangan the song jangan pernah menyerah, jangan berputus asa, mukjizat Tuhan ada saat hati menyembah, jangan pernah menyerah, jangan putus asa. So I think it's just important to know that. I think the other thing that if you are really sad and sometimes you go into depression, I find that sometimes medicine will help. So see a doctor. Some medicine may help to lift up your mood, because now there are two things. One is emotional problem, but you come to emotion, it translates into biological effect. You probably will need to see a psychiatrist to get some depression medicine. It will help your mood because the chemistry of the medicine will help lift you up again. So there are two things, emotional and physical. And so you have to have an aspect of both. Yeah. But what we're trying to say that you will not, you have good days and bad days, you know. Brain cancer is like that, you have good days and bad days. So when you are actually good days, you thank God that I have good days. In bad days, you say that things are going to be better tomorrow. So that's how you sometimes have to reassure yourself to that.
Okay, thank you very much. Untuk pertanyaan berikutnya. Nah, ini mungkin untuk Dr. Vivi. Mengapa saya kalau cemas, tangan selalu basah berkeringat? Apakah dapat disembuhkan? Bagaimana caranya? Maaf, belum di-unmute.
Ya, makasih. Ya, terima kasih untuk pertanyaannya. Jadi betul, kalau dalam kondisi cemas itu ada satu mekanisme tubuh juga memang akan memacu misalnya jantung, kemudian kelenjar-kelenjar keringat misalnya, dan misalnya pencernaan juga. Nah, itu bisa menjadi terganggu gitu. Nah, salah satunya memang itu misalnya berkeringat atau mungkin tremor bergetar gitu ya. Nah, itu bisa disembuhkan kalau memang itu memang bisa disembuhkan kalau memang hanya cemas saja ya. Atau kalau misalnya memang ada penyebab lain dari berkeringatnya ini juga secara fisik memang perlu untuk diperiksa dulu gitu. Tapi kalau memang itu dari cemas yang memang bisa disembuhkan, diobati. Nah, tadi dua hal ya sebetulnya, satu dari obat, satu lagi dari konseling atau psikoterapinya. Biasanya itu yang bisa dilakukan sama psikiater.
Baik, terima kasih Dr. Vivi. Next for Dr. Chu. So in stressful situation, usually heart beats faster, which eventually makes someone unable to sleep in the night, even though we are very tired and need to take rest. So any advice on how to decrease the heart rate?
I think number one is to see why you're stressful situation, right? So sometimes it's reasoning what causes the stress. A lot of times when we look at stress, the trigger of the stress is illogical. Let's say I give an example. If I'll cross a road and I see a lot of traffic, the cars are driving very fast. For me, if you are a pessimistic person, if you cross the road, you'll be knocked down by a bicycle, you'll be knocked down by a car, or worse, you can knock down by a bus, a lorry, Then what if I happen in ICU? What if I'm unconscious? What if I don't die and I break my leg and I'll be paralyzed? These are all the things, is illogical rationing. All can be true, right? It's illogical, but because a lot of times we cross the road, we don't even think about it and we are safe. So actually, when you actually in this stressful situation, become a logical person. Is this stressful situation logical? Why I am feeling stressful? Why my heart is beating fast? Because a lot of times, this is an excessive worrying that is. So once you identify the trigger, you move away from the trigger. Then when you move away from the trigger, how do you do that? Is actually fight the illogical reasoning. Now, sometimes hearts beat faster because you keep on thinking about it. So you have to find what we call a diversion. Let's say if I, in a lot of pain, you have to divert the attention to something else because your body responds to a trigger. So a pain is a more stronger trigger than touch. So find something that you find yourself to relax. It's a balance. So if you say that you are feeling your heartbeat very fast, find something that you can do that will calm yourself down. So if I'm thinking of this situation, so if I go out and look at go out and have a walk, and if I eat something, if I listen to music, then my mind is do not think of this situation anymore, then my stress goes down. So you really have to divert your mind to something else. If your mind is in control, your heart rate will come down. Does it make sense? So in a way, find a diversion. So if I'm very, very stressed, I tell my remedy is when you still can go out, in Singapore you can go out, I usually go to the beach. Because once I go to the beach, it's just because my olden times, I like to see around. I go to the beach, I close my eyes, I listen to the sea, I listen to the sound, I listen to the bird. My mind will just calm down automatically. That's how I de-stress, because I know that this is God's creation. I have no fear. The only fear that I have is to God alone, and nothing, will defeat me. So just now, if possible, I just want to read for you. Very important is to remember Psalms 91. So I read to you in Bahasa Indonesia, Mazmur 91, right? 91, Mazmur. Dalam lindungan Allah, orang yang berlindung pada yang maha tinggi dan tinggal dalam naungan yang maha kuasa, boleh berkata kepada Tuhan, Engkaulah pembela dan pelindungku, Allahku, padamu akan ku percaya. Dia akan melepaskan engkau dari bahaya tersembunyi dan dari penyakit yang membawa maut. Dia akan melindungi engkau dengan sayapnya sehingga engkau aman dalam naungannya. Kesetiaannya seperti perisai yang akan melindungi engkau. Engkau tak usah takut akan bahaya di waktu malam atau serangan mendadak di waktu pagi, akan bencana yang datang di waktu gelap, atau kehancuran yang menimpa di tengah hari. So just remember that when you're in such a situation, just say that God is in control. My God is stronger than any situation. I need to go away from this stimulus of this one. I need to de-stress. You find a situation and say that I will do something else. So it's a balance. So don't stay in the situation. Say, I'm very stressed in my house. Then you must leave your house, if possible. You leave a house doesn't mean that you change the room, go to just outside, just move around. If you say that I'm very stressed thinking about this, then think of something else. So move away from that.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you for reminding us to also read the Psalms 91, sorry. Next. Nah, untuk Dr. Vivi, menghindari ketakutan berlebihan ketika berhadapan dengan orang, apakah karena ini terlalu lama lockdown, dapatlah kembali menjadi makhluk sosial seperti sedia kala? Karena sekarang ini sepertinya saya berubah menjadi menghindari semua orang.
Oke, ya. Udah ya. Nah, tadi ketakutan berlebihan kalau menghadapi orang ya. Jadi memang betul itu termasuk dalam kecemasan. Kayak tadi kan menghindari orang, kemudian jadi selalu kayak harus waspada gitu ya. Nah, betul bisa jadi karena lockdown terus, tapi sebetulnya lebih banyak kelihatannya sih karena dengar berita-berita ya. Baik itu mungkin dengar berita aja atau bisa juga memang mengalami anggota keluarga yang misalnya sakit gitu ya terkait COVID dan sebagainya. Dapatkah kembali menjadi makhluk sosial seperti sedia kala? Tentu saja itu sebetulnya hakikat kita sebetulnya sebagai manusia, kita adalah makhluk sosial gitu. Nah, cuman berarti traumanya dan kecemasannya itu perlu diatasi gitu ya. Tadi satu yang bisa dilakukan dulu, boleh swab periksa dulu ya nanti ke website yang PDSKJI tadi. Kemudian yang kedua boleh dipraktekkan juga dengan yang relaksasi tadi gitu ya. Dan beberapa hal yang tadi saya udah sharing juga, misalnya lakukan rutinitas. Mungkin ini juga karena lockdown gitu kan, jadi banyaknya di rumah. Nah jadinya jenuh gitu di rumah ya. Jadi boleh lakukan kembali rutinitas yang seperti tadi ya, makan, tidur, sama mandi dan sebagainya, itu menjaga relasi dengan orang-orang yang membangun gitu. Nah supaya pelan-pelan jadinya nggak lagi terus-menerus merasa kecemasan. Tapi kalau misalnya memang masih juga berulang-ulang dirasakan, ya memang perlu untuk konsultasi, ya silakan gitu untuk ke psikiater atau ke psikolog atau ke rohaniawan dulu.
Oke, terima kasih Dr. Vivi. Mungkin untuk yang selanjutnya masih untuk Dr. Vivi lagi. Karena ini menanyakan tanda-tanda awal kita terkena gangguan mental. Soalnya saya ini sering ketakutan hanya karena menyentuh barang yang diberikan orang lain, atau merasa panik luar biasa ketika berhadapan dengan orang yang tidak bermasker.
Iya, ya apalagi terima kasih buat pertanyaannya. Ya betul ya. Jadi ya memang kita kan diajari kalau misalnya dapat barang paketan misalnya ya, atau dapat GoFood atau apapun misalnya dari orang-orang, ya betul memang kita harus membersihkannya. Jadi ketakutan menyentuh barang itu maksudnya nggak berhenti pada ketakutan kecemasannya, tapi kalau misalnya ternyata kan takut nih, cemas nih barangnya, misalnya orang yang pegang sebelumnya memang OTG gitu misalnya gitu ya. Nah, jadi jangan sampai berhenti di ketakutannya, tapi apa sih solusinya? Oh, berarti saya harus misalnya membersihkannya dulu gitu ya dengan desinfektan gitu. Jadi saya sih menyarankan jangan terlalu berlama-lama di kekhawatirannya, jadi stresnya, tapi beralih ke solusinya gitu. Apa sih yang bisa kita lakukan? Itu juga panik luar biasa ketika berhadapan dengan orang yang tidak bermasker. Sama saya juga ya, pasti kalau pasien saya udah mulai turunin masker, dok saya mau cerita ya gitu ya, itu juga saya bilang pakai maskernya gitu kan ya, karena apa, bukan hanya saya merasa Bapak bisa menulari saya, tapi saya bisa menulari juga gitu ya kan. Bentar ya.
Ya, oke. Terima kasih Dr. Vivi untuk jawabannya. So next, I think for Dr. Chu again. So what kind of practical tips so that we don't get concerned a lot in general and then become very afraid of COVID until like we cannot sleep, and then we're afraid to touch anything. We're afraid to go to the supermarket. And are we allowed to take sleeping medicine for this problem?
Yes. So I want to share a story. Do you know who is the Pastor Stephen Tong? Yeah, Stephen Tong. Yeah, you know who that? Yeah. Stephen Tong's version. When I was very young, the time I listened to Stephen Tong's sermon, he told me that at one time in the sermon, he said that there was one time he went to a war zone. In the war zone, at one point when he was giving a talk, right, they are suddenly a bomb attack. So it's a bomb attack. So there are aeroplanes coming down and bombing the place. So everyone there, we need to go to a bomb shelter. So his decision, you go to a bomb shelter. But he has said that we are doing a God's talk. He said that everyone stay in this house. We ask for God protection. So they didn't go anywhere but stay in the house. And then in the next morning, when the bomb attack has finished, you know, they come up on the house. The house was the only house standing that has not been bombed. You know what I mean? The rest all been flattened, you know, if they go up. So in a way, sometimes when we look at the situation, you cannot sleep. You don't dare to touch anything because you think there's COVID in all the packages. You don't dare to go out. In a way, that is good, but in a way, as I say, sometimes it's excessive. So you have to know what is real and what is not real. The real thing is that we can, no matter what we do, we can get COVID. We just have to minimize the risk. But if you are so scared to do anything, you end up that you cannot live your life. You know, you have to have a double mask. You have to wear a full gown. I work in the hospital. If you think your chances of getting COVID is in the community, right? What about me? I may get COVID anytime because I work in the hospital. I go inside the hospital. There are patients around. I touch the thing. And even my shoe, everything that I go to, they're possible, I can get contaminated. But if you think so much of possible, I did everything that I can. But sometimes that's why make your mind logical. I did everything I can. If I do get COVID, I still get COVID, then you just have to depend on God. So you cannot be in a situation where despite everything you do, you have to. So it's again talking to yourself and thinking logically. Now, if you cannot do that and you mentally is very stressed, a sleeping pill sometimes can help. But sleeping pills, if you take more than 2 weeks, you may become addictive. I still think that psychiatry and mental health, there always be two things. Number one is psychological response and treatment. The other one is medication treatment. So medication is only if the psychological aspect is not useful anymore. So I always think that being paranoid is good for your health, because if you are so relaxed about things, you go out, you don't care, that is very bad. But if you're super paranoid against COVID, you end up that you cannot live a normal life, you know, it's going to be quite challenging. But always think to yourself that no matter what, things are going to get better, this will not last. And then you can take some pills for temporary, because I can tell you for Indonesia, even if the worst case scenario now, I tell you, just like India, you will get better in a few weeks' time, and things do get better. So always hold on to the hope. If without hope, you're in a desperate situation, but there's always hope that COVID will get better in Indonesia. And let's pray about that.
Right, thank you. Jadi yang berikutnya untuk Dr. Vivi, bagaimana menolong anggota keluarga atau teman kita yang cemas berlebihan akibat pandemi COVID ini? Kapan sih harus konsul ke psikiater dan kapan cukup konsul ke hamba Tuhan saja?
Oke. Seperti yang tadi Aulia sampaikan, jadi pertama-tama kasih bahan hari ini ya ke anggota keluarga atau temannya yang cemas itu ya, supaya itu nomor 1 bisa jadi berkat dulu. Nah, terus yang kedua, ya kalau misalnya sudah disampaikan bagaimana cara-caranya untuk meredakan kecemasannya, tapi masih juga tidak menolong, belum menolong. Nah, betul harus konsul ke psikiater. Nah, jadi biasanya selalu sudah ada gangguan dalam fungsi hidup sebetulnya ya, fungsi bekerja, fungsi berelasi, fungsi perawatan diri, itu di kami sih seperti itu. Nah, jadi itu boleh konsul ke psikiater, karena di psikiater juga nanti dinilai apakah memang perlunya konseling atau psikoterapi saja, atau misalnya memang perlu obat juga gitu ya. Nah, terus kapan cukup ke hamba Tuhan aja? Kalau menurut saya sebetulnya boleh kemana saja dulu yang pertama ya, mau ke psikiater atau dokter boleh, ke psikolog boleh, ke hamba Tuhan juga boleh. Karena tadi sebenarnya kan kesehatan jiwa itu ada 5 aspek tadi ya gitu. Yang mana sih yang memang perlu dikuatkan dulu gitu. Kalau misalnya memang secara spiritual, nah dengan ke hamba Tuhan, terus udah gitu dia juga sudah lebih kuat, baik ya sudah nggak apa-apa gitu. Nah, tapi kalau misalnya secara biologis, berarti ada genetik, ada gangguan keseimbangan di otak yang menyebabkan jadi seseorang jadi cemas berlebih atau sedih berlebih gitu ya. Nah, itu memang perlu dikasih obat gitu. Terus soalnya tadi psikologis, ada hal-hal psikologis dan sosial yang memang mempengaruhi gangguan kesehatan jiwanya sekarang, berarti memang betul mungkin perlu psikiater dan perlu psikolog gitu. Nah, jadi kalau menurut saya ke siapa saja dulu juga boleh, tapi nanti mungkin di antara kaminya akan bisa saling konsul. Nah, saya bersyukur makanya di Hokim Tong ini sangat terbuka ya, ada psikiaternya, ada psikolognya, ada hamba Tuhannya. Jadi kita tuh bisa pelayanannya lebih menyeluruh gitu.
Ya, oke, terima kasih banyak Dr. Vivi. So next for Dr. Chu. So is there any hope? Because it seems like COVID cases always increase when everything seems it's gonna end.
So I just have one word. Do you know the word hopeless? Yeah, the word hopeless. The word hopeless have hope in it. Correct.
Yeah, correct.
So even the hopeless situation have a hope inside. You know. So I just want to say that we always have hope no matter what. Even the hopeless situation, there's a hope inside hopeless. So the situation, as I said before, will never continue, because as far as we know of any virus pandemic, whether it's Ebola virus, whether it was SARS and it's now COVID, things will improve per se. This is just a temporary thing. It may last for a few years or so, but it will definitely get better, because at the end of the day, God has given us an immunity. This is a new virus. Our immunity have not able to figure out how to build immunity. But definitely, when more and more people get it and vaccination comes in, eventually our body will learn how to fight this virus, because we have this immunity given by God. We will be able to fight this virus once our white cell count and our antibody able to recognize it. So it will be time. It may take some time to learn of this, but it will definitely get better as far as we know, because everything that we face so far, I said a pandemic will never last forever. We may have to live with it. Let's say, for example, a flu virus, we may have to get for yearly vaccination also. But eventually, you just look at the figures that Dr. Vivi just presented here. So of all the Indonesians who died from the cases, the actually death rate is actually 3.3%. That is the actual death rate. So that even if you get COVID today, you got 96.7%, you are going to survive the COVID. This is so much higher than getting a stage 4 cancer, or any cancer. And then it's so much higher than getting a stroke, because I tell you, if you get a stroke, you don't have a 96.7% you'll be alive, or you get a heart attack, there's not going to be 96.7% you'll be alive after a heart attack. So there's not. So you just have to think of the positive, that even if you get COVID, you have higher chance of being alive. Of all the medical conditions that we know, whether heart attack or cancer, this is so much better in survival. So if you give me a choice of having to deal with a stage 4 cancer, I will anytime take COVID as a gamble. You know what I mean? So in a way, when you look at that, there's always going to be hope, even if you get COVID. It's the worst case scenario. But of course, we need to be safe, and hopefully we'll not get it. But this is not ever going to last until the many years. And I'm sure that I'll be able to visit some of you again in Indonesia. I'm not sure when, but I'm sure we'll be able to come to Indonesia again. It will not that we will never meet each other again. We're only in computer. It's not possible.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Chu. Jadi jangan lupa Bapak Ibu Saudara untuk selalu tetap berpengharapan di dalam Tuhan, karena meskipun pandemi ini kelihatannya masih lama selesainya, tapi pasti akan berakhir. Nah, berhubung waktu kita sudah habis, jadi sesi tanya jawab saya akhiri di sini. Untuk selanjutnya saya serahkan kepada Evangelis Fabiola untuk memberikan warta.
Malam Bapak Ibu semua para peserta seminar. Pertama-tama kami mengucapkan terima kasih kepada pemateri malam hari ini, Dr. Cho Bok Ai dan Dr. Vivi Bagia Praja yang sudah berbagi pada malam ini, dan kami juga berterima kasih kepada moderator kita, Aulia Sahrina, yang sudah memandu acara selama beberapa waktu yang kita lewati. Kami juga terima kasih sekali kepada semua panitia yang sudah mengupayakan sehingga seminar ini tetap ada. Terima kasih untuk semua jerih lelahnya. Dan terima kasih juga untuk Bapak Ibu Saudara peserta yang juga mengambil bagian pada malam hari ini.
Mari saudara kita akan masuk di dalam doa. Mari kita berdoa. Kami bersyukur dan terima kasih ya Bapak, pada malam hari ini kami bisa bersama-sama mengikuti webinar COVID-19 and Mental Health. Kami sudah mendengarkan dari kedua hamba-Mu yang sudah Tuhan utus, Dr. Cho Bok Ai dan juga Dr. Vivi Bagia, yang memberikan penjelasan, yang boleh memberikan pencerahan kepada kami, bukan hanya sekedar pengetahuan, tetapi juga apa yang sudah kami peroleh bisa kami lakukan di dalam kehidupan kami sehari-hari. Dan biarlah Tuhan yang akan menolong kami semua, supaya dampak daripada COVID-19 ini kami sadari bukan hanya berdampak kepada kesehatan secara fisik, tetapi juga kepada kesehatan secara mental kami. Ada banyak mungkin di antara kami atau saudara-saudara kami yang sedang mengalami kecemasan, bahkan depresi, ataupun juga trauma di dalam menghadapi situasi kondisi seperti sekarang ini. Tapi biarlah damai sejahtera Tuhan juga yang akan menolong setiap kami semua, khususnya untuk kami tidak khawatir, tidak takut. Kami tetap memiliki pengharapan di dalam Yesus Kristus yang adalah Tuhan dan Juru Selamat kami, yang akan menaungi, yang akan melindungi, bahkan yang akan menguatkan, meneguhkan apapun yang harus kami hadapi. Dan kami yakin dan percaya bahwa pandemi ini pun suatu saat akan berakhir. Itulah sebabnya ya Bapa, kiranya Tuhan yang akan menolong kami tetap untuk bisa memiliki endurance, determination untuk bisa menghadapi semuanya, dan kekuatan yang dari Tuhan, penghiburan yang dari Tuhan. Dan biarlah Tuhan yang akan menolong kami semua. Apa yang sudah kami dengar bukan hanya untuk diri kami sendiri, tetapi ada begitu banyak orang juga yang sedang membutuhkan akan pencerahan, kekuatan, dan juga penghiburan, pengetahuan, informasi-informasi yang benar. Tuhan yang akan tolong pakai kami semua ya Bapa. Mungkin itu saudara kami, mungkin itu keluarga kami, sahabat, teman-teman kami, supaya kami juga bisa menjadi berkat. Terima kasih Bapa, kami yakin dan percaya Tuhan yang akan terus menaungi, melindungi siang dan malam, menghindarkan, menjauhkan kami dari segala mara bahaya, dari sakit penyakit. Kiranya Tuhan yang akan memberkati kami. Dan kiranya kasih dari Allah Bapa, anugerah damai sejahtera dari Yesus Kristus, Tuhan dan Juru Selamat kami yang hidup, kekuatan, penghiburan, pertolongan dari Roh Kudus, kami menyertai kamu sekalian dari sekarang ini sampai selama-lamanya. Amin.
Amin. Terima kasih Bapak Budi dan Ibu Febi. Bapak Ibu Saudara, demikian acara kita pada malam hari ini. Semoga menjadi berkat bagi kita semua. Salam sehat dan Tuhan berkati.